Hello, everyone. Welcome back to session 3 here at the second annual International White Hat Conference. During this session, we will be discussing technology solutions to combat cybercrime with speakers from Boston University, Dr. Kyung-Shik Choi, the International Observatory of Computer Crime, Salvador Sampler, and from the Colombian National Police, Mike Toro Alvarez. A discussion will be led by our discussant, Luciano Monchiero, and Dr. Sincho Back will be the moderator during this session, and we'll introduce our speakers as well. Dr. Back, feel free to take it away.
Hello, everyone, again, and welcome to another discussion. My name is Sincho Back. I'm an assistant professor and director of Cybercrime Homeland Security Study at the University of Scranton in Pennsylvania. I'm your moderator again. Okay, great. It's time to getting started with our session. Currently, experts argue that new cutting technologies such as artificial intelligence, 5G, or Internet of Things, IoT, and blockchain technology allow criminals to have more criminal opportunity to achieve their malicious goal. In doing so, an important question is raised. How technology could help criminal justice systems to fight against the future of cybercrime as a crime prevention strategy? I'm pretty sure that we can answer this question at the end of this session. In line with that, we have three amazing panelists, Dr. Kyung-Shik Choi, Salvador Semper, and Mike Toro, to discuss this important topic. So we are going to talk for about 30 minutes, and then we will spend the last 15 minutes going to the Q&A session as well. Now I'm going to introduce our panelists. First, we have Dr. Kyung-Shik Choi. He's the director of a Center for CIC, has designed and delivered law enforcement training programs in cybercrime investigation, including computer forensics and child exploitation investigation. He has been rigorously conducting his own academic research, federally funded projects focusing on intersection of human behavior and the technology, how criminal justice can respond effectively to challenge of the cybercrime. Next, we have two co-presenters, Mr. Salvador Semper and Mr. Mike Toro Alvarez. Mr. Salvador has extensive experience in working with Spanish and European law enforcement agencies as a cyber intelligence analyst. He's the founder of the International Observatory of the Computer Crime, called INTOC. He also is a co-founder in the ESCOTAR Digital, which is the first European digital protection protocol. He also serves for the community of the intelligence, security, cyber defense of Spain and Spanish Association of Cybersecurity and Forensic Computer Expertise as a trial technician. Salvador is also known as creators of the Artemisa system, which is the first European application for the police control. His co-presenters, Mike Toro Alvarez, is a retired Colombian national police officer with 23 years of service. He's advisors and researchers at the Center for CIC. And also he's a founder of the research network in cybercrime and digital security called CIBA, and co-founders of the INTOC as well. Currently, Mike advises the first regulatory framework in cybersecurity of the Andean Parliament and helped to develop a platform for the improving cyber victim attention. His academic contribution have focused on crime prevention through the use of technology. For the discussion, we invite very sharp discussions from the Argentina, Luciano Monchiaro. Professor Luciano is the director of the postgraduate program in the cybercrime at the Universidad Siglo XXI. He's working very closely with Europol and Argentinian's law enforcement agency, especially fighting against the internet crime against children. He's the founder members of the INTOC and the board members of the Center for CIC. From now on, we will do all panel presentation together without break, and then we will have a discussion. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Choi. Over to you, Dr. Choi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very delighted to introduce the CIC Virtual Reality Project through the 2021 Whitehead Conference. Human brain creates exemplified simulation of the body to control and regulate through the prediction of action, concept, and emotion. Similar to the brain, VR simulations are based on the interaction of sensory stimuli and environmental factors. VR can facilitate cognitive change. Through VR, individuals are able to obtain both textbook knowledge and practical experience prior to obtaining actual field experience. In fact, the use of VR has received its initial fame mostly based on game. Besides gaming, VR presents a positive impact on various fields. Since 2017, more than 250 studies in medical field demonstrate the positive outcomes of utilizing the VR system to treat various illnesses, including anxiety, eating disorder, mental illness, and addiction. In addition to the medical field, the criminal justice system also implements the VR system to enhance police training, elevate tension in prison, and help re-entry process of inmates. According to a recent study, VR can significantly reduce prisoners' pain and stress after release by replicating routine scenarios such as shopping, driving, and interacting with others. Through the program, inmates can be better prepared and ultimately reduce the recidivism rate. VR in education is also gaining popularity. Several studies found VR produces positive cognitive outcomes in different educational settings, including engineering, military, and robotic surgery. Studies have shown that overall, the use of simulation result at least as good or better cognitive outcomes and attitude towards learning when compared to traditional teaching methods. VR has been also recognized to increase students' interest and motivation. Society's growing dependence on technology continues to alter every aspect of modern day living. Whether it involves one's medical records or one's personal finances, the reality of cyber security breaching remains a constant concern. Unfortunately, the current capability of many law enforcement agencies are limited since most law enforcement officers lack knowledge concerning the processing of computer data and related evidence. More specialized training programs are essentially needed. This VR project aims to facilitate developing one of the major cybercrime investigation content, search and seizure of digital evidence for assisting law enforcement officers and criminal justice students effective learning in cybercrime investigation procedure. Within this VR simulation, you will have the opportunity to experience what it is like to be an investigator, all the way from obtaining a search warrant to collecting evidence at the crime scene to properly transporting the evidence to a lab throughout the 3 stages of simulation. The first stage introduces the program and explains the basic of the case scenario the students will investigate. The second stage provides overview of simulated crime scene called Hacker Lab. The final stage lets the student play the immersive VR game designed to focus on search and seizure process for cybercrime investigation as a hands-on virtual lab. Let's explore the first stage of VR, stage 1. To enhance the quality of the program, we developed a real case based on digital forensic scenario of Mr. Evil Noodle. Mr. Evil Noodle is very famous cybervillain among my students because I use him in many cybercrime investigation lab exercises. Of course, I used Mr. Evil Noodle in 2021 wider cybercrime investigation competition scenario as well. Prior to exposing students with a detailed explanation of general knowledge on digital evidence, procedure of search and seizure for digital forensic cases, and legal issues surrounding digital evidence in my class, the students were required to go through the introductory phase of VR. This VR project covers legal area as an intro stage. Privacy infringement can be a huge concern because the exposure of the information of third party can be highly possible via cyberspace. Fourth Amendment links to probable cause against unreasonable search and seizures. Electronic Communication Privacy Act, ECPA, regulates the amount of the information that law enforcement officers may obtain with certain level of services. The Privacy Protection Act, PPA, is another piece of federal legislation law enforcement officers should consider. The purpose of PPA is to protect unpublished material such as books and articles, etc. Privileged communications are also important because society values the privacy. The established privileged communication are those between wife and husband, physician and patient, and attorney and client. And the VR indicates the preparation list such as a pre-warrant surveillance. Let's hit the stage 2. Based on the Mr. Evil Noodle scenario, we create 3D walkthrough of simulated crime scene called Hacker Lab using Metaport scanner. In this exercise, I offer brief tutorial explaining the hands-on exercise and share knowledge about properly collecting live response data and finding evidence. This overview process gives students the ability to look for evidence that could be hidden at the crime scene during their exercise. Each of the searchable items, a total of 49 items, contains brief video clips explaining details of the evidence. This exercise is designed as an entry-level practice opportunity for the beginner to have ample time to learn the systematic way to acquire information. I wish I could show you all of the items. I will demonstrate searching interesting hidden items and cybercriminal activities at the same time. Welcome to video. More than 330 people have been arrested around the world in major takedown of the massive child pornography website in 2019. This case is among the first to be found using cryptocurrency to carry out video sales. You discover social security cards and fake IDs found within the fuse box. The people identified on this card might have not done anything illegal. It might have been stolen for the purpose of criminal activities. Oh, we see illegal drug website, dark web, and we know Silk Road. Vstumbler. Oh, it's my favorite tool. So Vstumbler is a tool for Windows that allows users to detect wireless local area networks. Criminals can use Vstumbler to see what local area networks are in their area. Having the ability to see all the available networks in given area, definitely Mr. Evil Noodle can target ones that are weak and corrupt them. We found teddy bear camera. As within this case, the suspect hid their camera inside the pet teddy bear. Further analysis of this camera may reveal vital information in efforts to solve this case. Proceed the evidence collection station, back and tag item, then put them into brown box. Mmap. Network administrators use Mmap to identify what devices are running on their systems, discovering host data available and the services they offer, finding open ports, and detecting security risk. Apparently, Mr. Evil Noodle is using Mmap for hacking purposes. MIRC. MIRC is a popular internet relay chat client used by individuals and organizations to communicate, share, play, and work with each other on IRC network around the world. Of course, many cybersexual predators are using MIRC as well. Drug-in vacuum cleaner. That is a tricky one. Excellent job. This item would be already been illegal to attain regardless. It becomes more issue knowing this ecstasy drug was identified as being illegally traded. Another outstanding find, you discover USB drivers. Storage devices like this can be a vital find for investigators due to criminals utilizing them in efforts to store digital data. Often, further analysis revealed for these devices to encompass not only personal information but also a place to store hacking tools. It is absolutely fun and interesting simulation, isn't it? Prior to hopping onto the stage 3, I'd like to briefly talk about the importance of live forensics. Live forensics should be seriously considered, especially if there is a volatile data of values or suspect is using machine at time of seizure or attack is in progress. Nowadays, cybercrime investigators should expect conducting live forensic at the crime scene most of the time, considering large number of IoT devices we use. And it is also norm to conduct live forensics for louders. In the final stage of BR exercise, we have tried to add small detail, including live forensic and computer shutdown procedure. Shutting down or disconnecting the system from network may alter evidence. Shutting down system can cause closing of open files, deletion of temporary files, removal disappearance of malicious material, and or evidence of their malicious activities. As a rule of thumb, normal shutdown applies to Mac, NT, server, and the Unix and Linux. Pulling the power plug can also cause issues of preservation of temporary files and preservation of open files or data loss in devices. If you deal with PC computers, pulling the power plug is a wise decision. Yes, there are lots to consider for shutdown procedures. Now we are entering into the stage 3. After completing the Hacker Lab exercise, students can join the next BR stage to test their investigative skill. Are you ready to put your investigative skills to the test? Join Catch the Digital Evidence in efforts to learn the process of collecting digital evidence at a crime scene. How to play? Let's collect the evidence. When you first enter BR environment, you instantly step foot into the shoes of an investigator. As a lead investigator, you begin by utilizing the battling lamb in efforts to enter the crime scene. Throughout the collection process, you acquire each piece of evidence described within their search warrant. Doing good so far? Oh, you have a PC computer here. Yes, pulling the power plug and will do as a recommended procedure. Let's back and tag. After you collect each item, you will proceed to the evidence collection station. You will place the item within anti-static bag and tag the evidence with essential information from blue evidence box. You will then continue placing each bagged and tagged evidence item into brown evidence box. If all goes well, you will earn 1 point for each item they place within blue box, and then additional 1 point for each item placed within brown box. Keep moving forward, and you will be close to finalizing search and seizure of digital evidence in this case. How to end this VR game? You complete the crime scene investigation by taking 2 boxes evidence, blue and brown, and loading them into your choice of transportation in effort to ship the evidence of a forensic lab. During the final stage of simulation, it is crucial for you to choose wisely for one of the transportation options. The designated vehicle is a key in effort to keep the evidence safe and secure. When the simulation has been successfully completed, you will have obtained maximum of 100 points. There are many room to improve this project, and we will be working on additional necessary detail and components. For example, the warrantless seizure is necessary to prevent the destruction of valuable evidence or the escape of suspect. We plan to create accident circumstances surrounding a seizure environment for the future VR simulation. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I look forward to talking with you more at the Q&A session. Thank you.
Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches, según desde donde nos veáis, por supuesto. Aquí estamos para presentaros esta herramienta, este software para el combate del cibercrimen, pero en primer lugar me gustaría agradecer a la Universidad de Boston, al Center for the Sick y al Departamento de Justicia de Estados Unidos esta oportunidad para estar junto a todos ustedes y poderles presentar esta plataforma que es una red colaborativa para fuerzas policiales y agencias de ley. Bueno, sin más, voy a pasar a presentarles la herramienta. En el lateral derecho, como verán, tienen la foto del investigador. Puede ser la foto, puede ser el logo de las entidades, el nombre de la entidad a la cual representa, policial o entidad en colaboración con gobiernos, el país, lo ven entre paréntesis, y el inicio de la sesión. Arriba tienen un selector de idioma, pueden seleccionar para que ustedes lo vean, tanto en inglés como en castellano. A nivel superior tendrían al propio investigador con ese marco blanco acompañado de su bandera, de la bandera del país que representa, y la cantidad de méritos conseguidos, que en este caso son 167 méritos, esas insignias o estrellas conseguidas por el investigador. Alertas, que serían las alertas a nivel internacional a tener en cuenta y que cada país podría ir actualizando y añadiendo. Como ven, esas letras que pasan es que está actualizando la base de datos de alertas a nivel internacional. Bueno, comenzaríamos a nivel inferior, donde tendrían el Setup, Settings, donde podrían ustedes configurar, cambiar de contraseña, poner el propio alias, password o cualquier cosa que ustedes quisieran incluir o cambiar. Esto es a modo de ejemplo y los datos que van a ver no tienen nada que ver con los reales que se trabajan en producción. A nivel superior tendríamos los méritos, merits, y tendríamos esa clasificación internacional, que es una competición muy sana, como lo es la White Hat de 2021. Y aquí tendríamos los logros que irían consiguiendo cada uno de los investigadores a nivel internacional, separado por los países que más podrían estar consiguiendo esos méritos o esas cantidades de informaciones tan importantes y vitales para el sistema y la colaboración internacional en el combate del cibercrimen, la clasificación individual y otra serie de cosas muy, muy interesantes que tendríamos en esta clasificación a nivel de impacto y de visualización del trabajo que se está realizando, que también es muy importante. Las estadísticas, donde a través de sistemas de Machine Learning procesamos toda la data y tenemos data en tiempo real sobre cada uno de los trabajos de análisis e investigación que se está realizando en esta red colaborativa policial para agencias de ley y fuerzas policiales también. A nivel superior tendríamos las herramientas. Con estas herramientas serían con las que obtendríamos evidencias y con estas evidencias podríamos incluirlas en cada uno de los casos que tenemos abiertos, teniendo validez y almacenando los hash e integridad de la propia evidencia obtenida en tiempo real. A nivel superior tendríamos un sistema de mensajería interno para los investigadores para poder estar de forma segura intercambiando pues, ideas o cualquier nueva línea de trabajo. Los investigadores, todos los investigadores que estarían conformando este sistema. Los países, todos los países que están dentro de este sistema trabajando a nivel internacional. No obstante, en el mapa verán que hay una serie de puntos y de trabajos entre Argentina, Colombia, tendríamos también México, España y, bueno, Estados Unidos y otros. Crímenes o delitos sería lo que cada uno de los países, por ejemplo, desde España, incluiríamos los delitos. Al estar dentro del convenio de Budapest, incluiríamos los delitos tipificados y recogidos en ese trabajo colaborativo internacional para entendernos entre países sobre esa tipología del delito que estamos incluyendo en ese caso. Antes de llegar a casos, case, vamos a evidencias. En este apartado sería el almacenaje y tratamiento de las evidencias que haríamos a través de tools, de herramientas. Vamos a ver. Dentro de evidencias tendríamos cada una de las evidencias obtenidas y la relevancia, que sería el análisis de cada uno de los investigadores. Cuando el investigador entra, podría añadir una valoración de la propia evidencia para obtener la relevancia y con eso tendríamos un análisis humano con la evaluación de esa evidencia. Si queremos añadir algún tipo de evaluación de la propia evidencia, antes tienes que evaluarla o incluirla, bien, como nueva, si ya puede ser que esté evaluada o no con anterioridad. Bien, ahora iríamos a entidades. Entidades sería la particularidad o el identificador único que tendríamos que incluirle, por ejemplo, a un nombre de persona, a una organización criminal, Lazarus, por ejemplo, o si tuviéramos un grupo cibercriminal como el APT28, o si fuera el nombre de una persona, o, por ejemplo, en este caso, el nombre de una persona que puede ser una personalidad, por ejemplo, que esté siendo ciberatacada o se esté haciendo una campaña de fake news sobre esta persona o incluso sobre una entidad. Tenemos dos particularidades, que sería la colmena de entidades y la colmena del propio caso. Si, por ejemplo, incluyéramos a Lazarus y le diéramos a colmena, veríamos todo lo que hay a través de esta entidad. Los amigos, los compañeros, blog, cualquier tipo de información que nos fuera necesaria. Si pulsáramos sobre encima de las evidencias, si hubiera información, se nos mostraría encima toda la información o resumen. Pasamos ahora directamente a casos, que es el punto 1 o el punto de partida más importante dentro de la plataforma, donde tendremos que añadirle un número de expediente, un caso o al propio caso, el alias, puede ser el caso WannaCry. No se puede volver a llamar igual, cada uno es un identificador único, por lo tanto, si un país decide ponerle, por ejemplo, Red Alert, otro país no va a poder llamarlo igual. Puede ser Red Alert 23 o 44, pero nunca va a poder ser igual. Saturno, COVID. Vamos a irnos a un caso simulado en colaboración España con Estados Unidos, por ejemplo, este caso, y vamos a irnos a poder, poder ver ese caso, poder ver el expediente que hay creado una vez que incluimos toda la evidencia. Dejamos que lo procese el servidor y toda la data en tiempo real la conforma dentro de cuando fue la fecha de apertura. El estado es en curso, se continúa trabajando, el alcance es sobre fraude de COVID-19 y vamos a ver la cantidad de información que se ha ido incluyendo sobre diferentes posibles evidencias. Aquí tendríamos la etiqueta, cada una de las evidencias está identificada con una etiqueta, un identificador, la obtención de la evidencia, la URL de la evidencia, el resultado, el tipo es un sitio web y la identidad, que esto es lo que hemos visto anteriormente sobre las identidades. Una firma digital hash obtenida en tiempo real, tal cual se obtiene la evidencia. La evidencia siempre está certificada en esta obtención, los identificadores únicos, la URL, la cadena de custodia, en cada momento quién ha ido obteniendo, por ejemplo, la colaboración de este caso está con España, Argentina y Estados Unidos, obteniendo evidencia, y es la fecha de entrega de cada momento exacto en el cual cada país entrega la evidencia. Todos son horarios UTC, por lo tanto el trabajo se puede hacer de forma internacional, sin problema de uso horario, porque vamos añadiendo, según el meridiano, más o menos cantidad de horas según corresponda. Y hasta aquí vemos cómo tiene 10 páginas y hemos llegado hasta la última evidencia, la identidad 32. Vamos a hacer una prueba y va a ser añadir una información sobre una nueva evidencia actualmente. Ir directamente a herramientas. Dentro de herramientas vamos a añadir la identidad a la cual corresponde. Ya hemos visto que ese caso es para Texas Man y lo que vamos a hacer es un select. Y a este nivel tenemos ya, bueno, nosotros rápidamente, porque si no, no da el tiempo para la presentación, nos hemos ido directamente a lo que hemos encontrado. Y es dentro de una web donde se vende pues una vacuna para la gripe, para la influenza. Ok, y lo que vamos a hacer es obtener esta evidencia tal cual está y en este exacto momento. Entonces lo que vamos a hacer es almacenarla, pulsamos sobre evidencia, el resultado que queramos, el tipo de evidencia. El tipo de evidencia pues ha sido deep web, compra-venta, educación, empleo, fotografía, red social, sitio web. Nos vamos a sitio web, pero lo mejor sería que pusiéramos lo que corresponde y es una web de compra-venta. Entonces, compra-venta. El resultado ha sido... Y lo vamos a guardar. Guardamos la evidencia, dejamos que la procese y en este exacto momento la evidencia la hemos incluido con un timestamp en tiempo real y el hash en SHA1 y MD5. Ahora nos vamos a ir, vemos en el lateral derecho que OEDI u otros investigadores en tiempo real también veríamos que añadimos si estamos dentro de esa red colaborativa, muy importante, para poder ver la actividad. Cada país y cada organización tiene que colaborar con otra. Hasta el momento que no se produce esa solicitud de colaboración en un caso, entraríamos dentro del caso. Nuevamente, iríamos a ver y ahora iríamos a esa nueva evidencia obtenida y que antes en el informe no estaba disponible. Aquí la tenemos en el tiempo exacto que la hemos obtenido en UTC. Y el sello del tiempo con el acompañamiento del hash. Es muy importante tener en cuenta que los informes pueden estar descargándose desde diferentes países y se pueden presentar en diferentes sedes judiciales o jurisdicciones respecto a que se pueda realizar una investigación por diferentes unidades de policía en diferentes países. Aquí tendríamos la colmena, que es transformar esta información para la obtención del órgano decisor de las mejores decisiones. Y aquí tendríamos este caso con una identidad y compraventa sobre la información que hemos incluido, que la tendríamos en este sentido. Lo tenemos con una línea verde, amarilla o roja. Significa que las evidencias clave para obtener la decisión, para obtener la información clave en el momento, la tendríamos en una línea roja. Si hubieran diferentes identidades añadidas, tendríamos una colmena muchísimo más grande o mayor. Por poner un ejemplo, nos vamos a ir a otro tipo de caso. Por ejemplo, vamos a irnos a WannaCry, vamos a darle a colmena y aquí sí que estamos viendo que tenemos el caso WannaCry y tenemos diferentes identidades. Volkov, Lazarus, donde tenemos diferentes informaciones que pueden ser analizadas en tiempo real. Cuanto mayor sea la colmena, mayor data y mayor capacidad para llegar a evidencia clave en esa red colaborativa dentro de evidencias. Con esa evidencia nueva que hemos obtenido, podemos llegar a evaluarla. Entonces, el investigador realiza un análisis que junto con los algoritmos de trabajo, el análisis humano y las herramientas de Machine Learning conseguimos los objetivos rápidos y precisos para la toma de decisiones y predicción del delito y también combatir el cibercrimen de la forma más dinámica y efectiva posible. Entiendo que esta obtención de información clave representa para nosotros 5 estrellas y es una evidencia clave y toda la información que queramos incluir sobre el análisis de la evidencia para que otro investigador pueda venir y pueda obtener nuestras fórmulas de análisis. Nosotros enviamos y vemos que el punto de relevancia puede ser 5. Si otro investigador entra dentro de la evaluación de esta evidencia, puede que el ratio pueda llegar a bajar. Podemos llegar a ver que la evidencia en este sentido no tendría quizá la relevancia de 5, sino una relevancia menor. También puede ser que una relevancia menor pueda subir porque el análisis humano dentro de esa investigación nos haya llevado a otros puntos o a obtener información clave de la organización cibercriminal o de una fake news, de dónde parte esa noticia, de la contaminación o de incluso delitos de odio o cualquier otro movimiento que las fuerzas de ley necesitan combatir de forma proactiva y rápida. Cerraríamos y nos iríamos a entidades. Y dentro de entidades nos iríamos a Taxman y veríamos la colmena cómo va aumentando según la cantidad de evidencia. Compra, vemos que está en rojo de esa obtención de evidencia. Según la evaluación que vamos obteniendo por cada investigador, los colores nos dan crítico porque es una evidencia crítica. Y llegamos de mejor forma a la toma de decisiones. Bueno, hasta aquí la presentación de nuestra plataforma internacional como red colaborativa para fuerzas policiales y agencias de ley. Me gustaría nuevamente agradecer de forma muy especial a la Universidad de Boston, al doctor Kyung-Suk Choi del Center for the Sick y al Departamento de Justicia de Estados Unidos y, por supuesto, al propio equipo de España de desarrollo en colaboración con Estados Unidos y Latinoamérica. Muchísimas gracias y hasta pronto.
Well, amazing moment for us. Thank you, Dr. Choi. Thank you, Salvador, and thank you, Mike, for all the presentation. We have some questions now. First of all, with Dr. Choi, please. When we talk about virtual reality, we know that today it is used for different scenarios that help user and organization to achieve the expected result. In the case of cybercrime cases, how important is the use of this technology, not only to learn how important is the use of his technology to learn how to investigate, and now in advance the reality of a cybercrime event so that the agent can achieve the desired result. Is VR used in many law enforcement agencies? Is the use of this technology just possible for training or to extend? Do you think it might contribute to other fields in the area of cybercrime?
Uh, Thank you, Luciano. That's a great question. With new technological and industrial change, and we have seen numerous cybercrime cases. So these transitions demonstrate the need of various training in cybercrime investigation to stay up to date with technological advancement. The main challenges of analyzing digital evidence are the large amount of the evidence and the lack of kind of necessary support from department and agencies, and including knowledgeable staff and analysis equipment and limited up-to-date training. To accommodate the address kind of concern on training, the CICBR project aimed to facilitate the development of the assessment of general knowledge of digital evidence. So the search and seizure, I think that's in collecting digital evidence is a crucial part in cybercrime investigation, since any mistake or errors made in the process may dismiss the case in the court. So by examining general knowledge, legal admissibility, and search and seizure procedure of digital evidence, this VR research explores how cyber investigation education could benefit from implementing VR training. As demonstrated in my presentation, we designed 3-stage VR training to enhance training effectiveness in a group of criminal justice students with sample of 50 students pretty much, undergraduate and graduate students. So based on pre-post tests and in-depth interviews with participants, the level of knowledge in search and seizure of digital evidence is significantly improved after the VR training is completed. The scientific findings indicate the VR training clearly works and provides significant benefits for handling digital evidence. This VR research will be published through respective peer-review journal, Psychology, Behavior, and Social Networking in this year. As mentioned in the presentation, we plan to apply VR technology into more sophisticated cybercrime investigation scenario. To answer your second question regarding the use of VR technology in law enforcement, yes, VR is slowly gaining popularity on police training as well. Virtual reality has tremendous advantages of reproducing simulating training that is difficult to perform within physical setting. Again, lots of equipment, lots of cost. So compared to traditional police training, VR training enables officers to experience the consequences of utilizing force without endangering themselves or others. A trainee can be transported to back alley or living room or car stop. The training officers can turn on maybe fan, and you feel that winds as if you were outside, and although you are in the visual the virtual simulation. The developer can make a virtual suspect to interact, and the VR can create a real-life environment and allows law enforcement officers to make some very difficult decisions. And the application of VR in police training, it is open wide.
Very interesting explanation, Dr. Choi. Thank you for the answer. We can go to Salvador and Mike about or related to the other topic. Analyzing the international context in relation to the sexual exploitation of children and adolescents, we know that there are enormous efforts to counteract this phenomenon. What is happening at the global level? Is there any tool that allows law enforcement agencies not only to gather information, but also to share and collect evidence that can then be used in the judicial process by the prosecutor? Are there any special characteristics that help to work immediately around the parties, agent, prosecutor, victim, to reduce the time and charge of the offender with all the evidence brought into the court? What about the LCN platform, law enforcement collaborative network, and intelligence-led policing against online child abuse, sex exploitation. Would it be a solution for this kind of case?
Hi, Luciano, and hi, everyone in this
great event. Yes, you're right. We have a different scenarios when we are talking about cybercrime victimization.
So when we are talking about internet crime against children, obviously we can see how the organized crime is keeping its capability of making profit by combining technical side and spreading criminal services. It is well known that cryptocurrencies tracking as well as awareness program are key factors for counteracting this phenomena. But both types of strategies are on the shoulders of well-trained investigators. So what about the rest of the members of one law enforcement agency? What about the rest of the street police officers, those who are closer to the citizen, to the victims? We know that new devices are connected, IoT, new developments to collect data by sensor, the usage of technology for criminal purposes, and obviously the increasing of internet crimes against children requires a different approach. To provide with a constellation of tools for easy handling the new evidence, we need to deliver to the police forces a different way to respond to cyber criminals. So this is again of attacking and defending. That is the traditional way. But now with the new tools, with the implementation of artificial intelligence, so we can think forward. We can see a different horizons. So we can really think about protecting the victims. We know right now that the victimization, cyber victimization, is pointing the most vulnerable, for example, children and elderly. And we need to try to have the same response at that level without increasing of the cyber victimization. So as you mentioned, LCM platform is able to optimize the use of tools for responding to cyber victimization, also to decrease time. When we are talking about those automatic reports, when we are getting double or triple digital signature with hash algorithms, when we are having a private messenger system between the investigators, when we are having also merit system to recognize the hard work of investigators, and we can share that work. So obviously we are moving forward. We are increasing the capabilities to respond to cyber victimization, as well to put new tools on the hands of more investigators, or at least to normal police officers. Obviously, the time is really short. Salvador was explaining in an amazing way a really huge and capable and powerful tool. For sure, we're going to be in other scenarios explaining a little bit more. But what we have here is a really powerful tool, which was developed to support the digital evidence to counteract impunity in different levels, because we are facilitating the digital evidence handling in different kind of victimization, not only in cyberspace. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you, Mike. A lot of information, but we don't have time. And Dr. Shinchu is coming. So thank you for all. We continue with Dr. Shinchu back, please.
Gentlemen, there was an outstanding discussion, and that's a very significant and timely manner solutions in cyberspace, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic period. I really appreciate it. So let me give you the bottom line. It is clear that we are in the top fight right now. Everyone is a target, Even COVID-19 pandemic gave cyber actors, terrorists, or organized gang more criminal opportunity to hit our citizens and our critical infrastructures. Let me be clear. Each of us is on the front line of the cyber battlefield. If we work together to protect our people and assets around the globe, we will win the game against the cyber actors. In doing so, it is time to have a holistic approach for the academia and the research institution, public and the private sector to collaborate, to utilize cutting-edge technologies in response more quickly and effectively to cyber threat. And that's truly only way we will win this combat and battle. So we appreciate your time, your efforts, your leadership. We thank you for joining us at this White Hat conference. Now, I will turn it over to MC, and thank you. Bye now.
Hello, thank you again. Sorry about that, Dr. Back. So we're now going to proceed into an interview with the Cybercrime Investigation Competition Director, Ismael Morales, and the case managers, Robert Price and Austin Gibbons. Hello. Okay. Welcome back, guys. I just got put on the screen there. Are we still waiting on Ismael Morales?
I think he is getting ready to join the room.
Okay. No worries. Well, we can get started with some questions for the case managers here. So we just have some kind of general questions about how the competition went. So I guess if both of you could give your takes on how the competition went, and then we can get into some other questions as well.
Go ahead, Austin.
I'll go ahead and kick it off, I suppose. It's been a very intense day with a lot of back and forth jockeying among some really talented teams. I believe that I speak for everyone involved in the administration of the competition in saying, a hearty thank you to all those who chose to participate. It was eye-opening for us as the facilitators of the competition, and I hope and trust that it was also rather eye-opening for those who engaged in the competition as well. We saw some outstanding performances too. Hungary in particular put on a very strong showing. I think we'll show the leaders in just a moment here. Argentina also put on an excellent performance, as did Cambodia. And we also saw some surprises from South Korea. So on the whole, there was an incredible mixture of teams, and they performed well.
Wonderful. Robert, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would agree, and I just wanted to kind of, for perspective, like the three of us, Professor Morales, Professor Gibbons, and I had gone over the scenario prior to, and we actually went through a run through of the scenario, and I was optimistic that people would get through it, the groups would get through it, but I recognized how challenging it was, and it seemed, and I guess this speaks to the level of competitor that we had in the competition, was that even when it seemed like there were a couple of hours worth of not seemingly getting anything or getting anywhere, losing traction, people getting frustrated, they kept going. And they just kept working and kept working. And I was encouraged by that. I really, I thrive on the work ethic component. So I really appreciate all that from everybody. So I wanted to thank everybody that competed. The way that you did it was great.
Yeah,
definitely. It seems like it's been an amazing competition so far. So were there any major struggles that either of you saw affected all of the teams? Kind of any places where people got caught up?
The actual first obstacle I think was the hardest. Getting over the first, in this case, it was the privilege escalation on the actual cloud system that allowed the competitors to install applications and do things like that. I think personally, one of the most difficult things about this scenario is that it was live. It's live analysis. So you're essentially walking on evidence and you have to be from an analyst standpoint, you better be able there to talk about how you walked on it, and documenting that process. Documentation in a live environment is incredibly cumbersome and incredibly time consuming and detailed. And so I think there's a lot of work to be done relative to that workflow. But I thought that everybody did amazing.
Yeah, and if I would add just one point, a good investigation is a bit like assembling a mosaic. And one of the difficulties that investigators and analysts face is that you don't always recognize the importance of a particular piece of evidence that's right in front of you until you gain a broader sense of context of how that one little piece of the mosaic might fit into the larger whole. And we did see that quite a bit, I would say, with some of the teams who were presented with a piece of evidence that we, as the facilitators of the competition, knew to be very significant, but that recognition wasn't immediately there. It took some time. But I also think that speaks to the quality and rigor of the competition itself.
Yeah, definitely. I think so as well. So we got one final question here. Are there any key takeaways? I think, Robert, you might have already kind of touched on this, but are there any other key takeaways that either of you saw from this year's White Hat competition?
I think, one of the key things that at least from my perspective and my experience, where it was primarily, dead box forensics, I was encouraged by the idea that we put competitors in an environment where they had to do live analysis. I think Professor Morales and I had talked about it when we were during the development of everything, and he seriously pushed the live analysis component, and that being something that we as an forensic examination community are going to have to deal with over and over, especially when you talk about encryption and cloud computing and all these difficulties in our that are coming about in our field. I was encouraged by that. I thought that was a good environment to put competitors in, and I think it was effective.
If there's a big educational lesson to draw from what we observed over the past 24 hours, I would say it's that the lead teams all demonstrated varying degrees of persistence and resilience that are quite impressive. And that's something that we try to impart to our students as undergraduates and graduates, that when you are engaged in forensic investigations, the importance of being tenacious and not giving up and leaving things that may seem insignificant right in front of you instead of pushing them to the side. These are all very difficult qualities and behaviors to teach, but I think that our lead teams really exemplified those characteristics.
Nice. I think those are some great takeaways. Thank you both for your time. We're now going to transition over to back to Ismael Morales again, who will provide the Cybercrime Investigation Competition's top 3 team announcement. Take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. And thanks for the case managers. Those were very, very insightful comments about the competition. And before I announce the winners and the different places, I just want to make sure that I take a few minutes to thank everybody that was involved in putting this together. This was quite a collaborative effort with Boston University and Utica College, professors, professionals, and individuals that at the end of the day put together a really awesome competition here for the contestants, for the 16 different teams from across the country, from across the world. And I also want to thank those teams that stepped up, volunteered, and participated. And I can only, reiterate, we were very impressed with some of the discussion, collaboration, and reaction to the unique situations that we put everybody through. Because, we continue to emphasize that the bad guys are pretty darn smart, and we have to continue to up our game if we're going to, to come out on top. And that's one of the driving goals of creating these types of unique opportunities. So I just want to thank everybody for that participated and also giving us the opportunity to put this together. So having said my piece, the first place team is the Hungary team from Hungary, and their name was the 50 Shades of Grey. They scored 64% of the overall total points. And in second place was the team from Cambodia, the Cybercrime team, and they had 50% of the total scores. And third place team went to the team from South Korea with 44%. Every one of these teams were very, very aggressive and very motivated throughout. It could have easily ended up in different, different places. So congratulations to the teams, and thank you very much.
So thank you all so much for joining us today on the first day of the second annual International White Hat Conference. We can please give all of our speakers, committee members, and the CI teams as well a huge round of applause virtually for all of their efforts. We most definitely appreciate all of our audience members for joining us at this essential conference, and we're looking forward to another successful conference day tomorrow. So we will see everybody tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So thanks again for coming to White Hat.